Some of the gold coins that I like to stack, other than American eagles and maple leafs, the kangaroos from Australia, Krugerrands, all of those that you're familiar with. That's what I want to talk about today for the first half. Then the second half, I'm going to put a question out to you guys that may be something that's on your mind. A earlier viewer brought this one to my attention, so I'll go into that in a minute. But first, let's take a look at some of these gold coins. The first three, four I'm going to pull out are all U.S. commemorative gold coins. They're all 1/4 ounce. I think I think I've had all of these for a while, so I believe all of them. There's a little mark on there. It's not on the coin; it's on the case. But all of these, I believe, were issued in the '90s. They still do this stuff now. These coins are usually pretty cheap to buy on the secondary market, being not getting them from the U.S. Mint, but buying them from a dealer. That they're pretty cheap to buy because they're not American Eagles and they're not uh, buffaloes. They're not the most notable bullion coins. But what's cool about them is they are minted in the United States, and so that's I don't have my glasses on, so it took me a while to get that runner oriented correctly. That they're all usually commemorative coins, a lot from sports, also notable people in history. Was the other that you'll see about these a lot. So again, this is another 1/4 ounce coin. These I have usually seen. Now, obviously, this is not everywhere or all the time, but normally I've seen these coins for sale for just over spot. So, for example, a coin like this one had it right the other way. I believe this is a 91. That a coin like this, I've usually seen them sell now in stores for about 20 over spot, 25 over spot. I think that's a fair price for them over. And the reason being is that depending on who you sell them to, you may get less than spot. Now, this is what I can tell you that I've found with this, okay, is that with these coins, I've done better selling these to jewelry shops and to pawn shops than I have selling them to coin people. When I say that, I would say when I've sold a couple of these 10 years ago, I had two other ones, and I came across a shotgun at a pawn shop that I thought I couldn't live without, and it was cool. It's a 16 barrel side by side Savage, and so I had set myself up on annual expenditures that I could use for I target shoot. I don't hunt anymore, but I still love to shoot skeet. And I had to have the shotgun. And so I sold two of these. And the guy I sold them to was at a jewelry store, a place that we did business with. And he gave me spot for them. And I've also seen at pawn shops, I feel like a coin like this will go for a better price than it would if you take it to a bullion dealer. Why do I say that? Just from experience. I'm not saying it's definite. If you're going to sell these online, I would say that you'll definitely expect to get less per ounce for this than you would for an American Eagle or for a maple leaf. You would probably get similar 2 ounce of what that they would pay for 1 ounce bars, gold bars. So that's what I would expect. Saying that four of those would equal an ounce, and so um, figuring on what the percentage you would get for the coin, of saying that um, better in my opinion, better to sell those with pawn shops or jewelry stores than you are if you sell them online or you sell them with coin folks. I'd be glad to hear your opinion on this, because I'd appreciate if I certainly don't have it all right. And then also, I would assume things could vary from region to region. I'm in North Carolina now. Used to live in Texas and then in Virginia before that. So I've seen consistency throughout that, but I don't know anything about the West Coast or New England, the Northwest, or like Central, Chicago and up. So if it's different in different regions, it would be interesting to see what that is. So, hey, the next ones I'm going to show you, it's a couple of Mexican gold pesos, which were coins that were still in circulation. And this part I don't remember. I know that they were at least circulating from the turn of the century up until I think maybe 1947, although it could have been into the 60s. I don't know for sure. I'll have to look that one up. Again, if you know that, you want to shoot me a comment, I'd appreciate it. Those last coins I showed you, the US issue, were quarter ounce, and these are just under that. They're 0.2482 or somewhere around that amount. So they're just under a quarter of an ounce. And again, these are coins that kind of the same story as with the commemorative US coins, is that the only problem with selling coins like these is that sometimes if you go to a pawn shop, I mean, they can test the coin, but it depends on the type of pawn shop and the type of person. Some folks in pawn shops, like, they get huffy if they have to go test anything. And being that this isn't a numismatic coin, I wouldn't have any problem with. I've done an acid, the scratch test with this coin, just on the side, on the edge, and well, not for this one specifically, but I've done it with coins that were bullion coins that didn't, I see, have any numismatic value. I wouldn't do it with my American Eagles or my Maple Leafs just because they're so pretty. But anyway, there's one. This is, and I want to say these are 10 peso coins, maybe. It seems like Mexico, they did 2.5, 5 pesos. So each of those pesos, and then said 2.5, 5. And then I think they did 10s and 20s for circulation. And I believe this is a 10, if I remember correctly. And again, I don't have my glasses on, so I'm muddling along here today. All right. Well, those are some coins that, again, I was just wanted to hit on a few that I feel like are good deals, and they're nice. I like the commemorative U.S. coins because they're from the U.S. Mint. A lot of people really dislike these coins, which is, again, I think why that they are lower when you go to buy them when you compare it to the Eagles and the spot price for gold. But I think there's some advantages to them too. And I think if you sell them at the right place, I think that you could make out okay. So, hey, the next thing is the reason I've got this silver back here, and I think I'll put out some gold too, is I wanted to talk about something that came up during a, a comment exchange with a viewer a couple of weeks ago. I don't have that video up anymore. That's a whole nother story. But anyway, uh, what he asked me, and I'm not sure if he was concerned for my financial well-being or if he was being trying to be hateful. So it was one of the two. Either way, is that he said, wouldn't it suck if the United States were to confiscate silver and gold again? And, well, before we even get into all of that, I mean, I'll say yes. Yes, that would absolutely suck. And I think that it's possible that something like that could happen again. I'm not saying it will, and I'm not saying it won't. I will just say that it's in the realm of possibility. And why do I say that? Is because it's happened before, and it happened just in the United States. But I know that it's happened in Great Britain or the UK or England, Scotland, Ireland, whatever you want to call it. Well, actually, England specifically. All right, so it's happened in, I want to say, was it Brazil or Argentina? I know it's happened in Germany. It's happened in Italy. And of course, it's happened in the United States. And, which brings up a good point. When the writer wrote that, I was like, that's something that's important to mention, is that, we didn't just have a gold confiscation in 1933. Well, we had a gold confiscation in 1933. But let me back up even further before I talk about the Silver Collection Act that happened the following year, is that we didn't actually have a confiscation. Everybody always says that, and I think it's because it's an easy way to express it. I say the same thing, the confiscation, but it actually wasn't a confiscation. They didn't just take your gold and give you nothing back for it. They paid you the fair market value at the time, which I want to say, what was it? Was it $20.67? Or had it went up by that point? That I'm not sure, but they they paid for the gold, and then so folks were asked to turn it in, and that these are so awesome. God, they're so small. Uh, that people were asked to turn it in, and that they paid them in basically paper money, and then I guess silver coin. But what's interesting that happened was a year later is that they actually, FDR called in silver as well. And so they called in silver. Of course, they called in gold with the whole purpose of they changed from the amount of gold you had to have for 100% to 40%. And so you only had to have 40% of the amount of dollars worth of gold in reserve in order to issue a certain amount of currency. So they pulled all that gold in so they could issue additional currency already at a lower rate to pay 40 cents on the dollar of gold to the paper. But they uh, printed all that paper. And then, of course, we did a bunch of other things, building acts, everything about the New Deal that, was a really good thing for this country. But, there was a price for that. And just one of the many prices was that folks had to turn in their gold. And then a year later, they were asked to turn in their silver. Now, again, they were paid what was considered the fair market value at the time, whatever that was. And then nothing about it until the 70s come around and Nixon. And then in 75, we're allowed to own gold again. So this is where it gets kind of interesting. My great grandfather was the one that got me into coin collecting, which got me interested in stacking. And my great grandfather, like all other good patriots, because that's the way they expressed it, was that it was patriotic for you to return your medal, and it was a law. I think that you could be fined $10,000 and maybe 10 years in prison. It was something like that. So they, anyway, they called it all in, and Grandpa gave it in just like all the other good patriots did. But Mister, I'll call him Woods because that was his last name because this was in the 70s. Mister Woods, that lived down the road from us, my grandfather had known, always suspected that Mr. Woods had held on to his gold until in 1976 when Mr. Woods, who'd always driven Plymouth Valiants, bought a Cadillac. And so, true story on that one. So, he always assumed that after in 75, once we're allowed to own gold again, because of course there were no questions asked about what was the story with your gold or your silver. It was just all of a sudden it was legal to own it again. And so I'm sure there were plenty of families that held on to gold in the 30s and that gold became, in play for them again in the 70s. Although I know a lot of people, I'm sure, turned it in good as well. So all of this is to ask you guys, what do you think? Do you think that the U.S. would ever do a metal reclamation or confiscation, whatever you call it? And I'm interested in hearing that. I've got my own ideas about this, but I'm not going to put those out today. I think I'll share those in a follow-up video, but I can see both sides of it. So to answer that person's question is that, yeah, it's something that's always been on my mind. But, it's something that is of concern because certainly that would defeat our entire, or at least one of our purposes of the many purposes or the many reasons why we stack. This would definitely dig into one of the big reasons that a lot of us stack. And so, anyway, it was interesting to listen to your comments. So, would appreciate if you guys would, write in and tell me what you think. And then also, what else I want to say? Oh, is that, guys, I appreciate you guys listening to these videos. I've had a lot of really good feedback recently. I've had bad feedback before too, and I learned from that. At least if it's in a constructive way. If the bad negative feedback is presented in a way that maybe it addresses like the parts of my position that are wrong, and it's able to teach me something new, I really appreciate that. So anyway, so it's good to hear from everybody. I really appreciate folks that maybe don't agree with me, but are, share with me why that they have a different view, because that's an opportunity for me to learn. And I think we all learn that way. So it's always cool when people do that. So anyway, I would appreciate a thumbs up. And if you want to hear more content like this, if you would subscribe, that'll be awesome. I will go ahead and pull all your information together, and then I'll figure out, my main 5 points about the position that I choose on this, and I'll do a follow-up video and maybe in about 4 or 5 days. All right. Hey guys, gold and silver are both up today. It was gold was over 2,100 when I came in here and started this, and so silver was up another 50 cents, so it was over $23. And I will say the last thing before I go is that I'm actually surprised that silver's $23 an ounce right now, given all the market conditions that would usually push the price down. I think maybe I don't know if it's just gold that's propping it up, but it's a good thing. I think that there's good potential for gold and silver as we go into the next couple of years. And that's my story on that. So again, appreciate you guys listening. All right, have a great weekend. Bye bye.